Last week was our first playoff game, and my plaque psoriasis was so itchy under all my gear. Sometimes just thinking about scratching could take me out of the moment. And then my doctor told me I could get clearer skin with a pill called Otezla.
Otezla apremilast is a prescription medicine used to treat adult patients with plaque psoriasis for whom phototherapy or systemic therapy is appropriate. Otezla can help you get clearer skin after just 4 months.
Okay, ready for the next game. Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla. Call 1-844-4-OTEZLA or visit Otezla.com for prescribing info about cost, and more.
This is The Roger Stone Show.
Welcome back. This is Roger Stone on the Red Apple Audio Network. Please go download the Red Apple app on your phone so you don't miss any of the amazing programming we have. Today, we listened to a clip of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. saying that one of the principal reasons why he decided to withdraw from the race, despite including the futility of being basically kneecapped by the national political and Democrat establishment, was his concern about war. And a man who knows a great deal about war, Colonel John Mills, who is a national security professional with many decades of service in 5 eras: the Cold War, the peace dividend, the war on terror, the war in chaos, and now he is looking as to understanding the great power showdown and the ongoing fight to save our republic. He's a former director of cybersecurity, policy, strategy, and international affairs at the U.S. Department of Defense, and today Colonel Mills is a senior fellow at the Center for Security Policy. He's been among our most popular guests here on the Roger Stone Show, and he joins us now.
Hey, Roger, thank you. Always an honor to be on the show with you.
It is. I almost don't know where to stop. You saw the Democrat National Convention. You saw Kamala Harris essentially trying to have it both ways, pledging full support for Israel, while this administration has unfrozen the over $100 billion in assets for the Iranian restart their nuclear weapons development program, allowing them to finance terrorism. I think we are careening close to World War III. So let's talk first about that situation.
Thank you, Roger. I think President Trump summarized it brilliantly when he said we are a world on fire, and we are. We are a world on fire. It's not August 2024. It's August 1939, and we have 14 or more regional conflicts raging, or could be set off in a just a flash around the world. Yeah, Kamala says she supports Israel, but Iran is a designated terrorist nation, the IRGC, and would not exist if it wasn't for the Chinese purchases of gas and oil. Iran is a proxy or a colony of China at this time.
We know that the Chinese have mounted what they tell us is a spy base on Cuba, which is extraordinary because this is reminiscent of what happened in 1962 when the Russians mounted missiles pointed at the United States. Some national security advisors that I speak to believe that there may be weaponry there beyond just the fact that this administration doesn't seem to do anything about them spying on us 90 miles from our shores.
Yeah, Roger. They what they do is they actually kind of have Florida surrounded between Gulf oil platforms that actually trace to China. So they got the Caribbean side of the Florida covered. They got south of Florida covered with the Wall Street Journal says they don't have just one spy base. They have 5 spy bases. And it's great that we have RFK on board because his uncle had to deal with the missiles in Cuba. The problem with very likely they have missiles in Cuba now, but our intelligence, if they are even paying attention, are dismissing them as defensive and air defense missiles. Well, these S-300, S-400 missiles could knock down an airliner over Orlando, the Panhandle, and could be used to strike ground targets. And then you got the Bahamas on the Atlantic side that essentially is a Chinese forward outpost. They've Huawei, the Chinese company, has provisioned all the IT on the island. We don't even have an embassy. We have a charge d'affaires, which is French for we don't really care enough about the country to put an ambassador there. I mean, it is Florida is surrounded, and the Harris administration. I just call it the Harris administration. And it's now patently obvious we haven't had a president since Trump left office on January 20th in 2021. It's all been a RICO scam with somebody who is not mentally cognitive. That they obviously don't. So this Joy campaign is walking us right down to World War III. And by the way, Joy was Hubert Humphrey's theme in 1968. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, he always said, "I'm pleased as punch to be here." I remember it very, very distinctly. It is really extraordinary that we have no ongoing negotiations, no ongoing peace talks, no ongoing ceasefire talks in the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. And I've come to learn that virtually nothing reported in the U.S. mainstream press about the situation there is accurate or true. Yesterday, I got this text message from Colonel Douglas McGregor, someone I have an enormous respect for and reverence for his opinion, a very learned military man who served his country with distinction, but also is extraordinarily well read and truly a military historian as well as a strategist. Points out that the Russians, under the leadership of Zelensky, just added another 8,000 troops in their recent failed penetration of Russia. They have lost 4,500 men already, also lost 63 tanks and 100 AFVs. The Russians, essentially, he says, have pulled back to allow the additional Ukrainian troops to enter what he calls the fire pocket, where they will then be annihilated. Your assessment of what's going on in the Ukraine-Russia conflict?
Yeah, thanks. So this is fascinating, since in July and August of 1943, the greatest tank battle ever in human history raged for 2 months on this exact same spot. So far as we know it, the Ukrainians have occupied roughly 22 Manhattan equivalents inside of Kursk, the Kursk Oblast. Now, was this their strategic plan? McGregor, who I have great respect for, is looking at it as some kind of ruse to draw the Ukrainians in. Maybe we'll see. But I think what started in many ways as an attempt to, as much an information operation campaign, but to grab as much territory as possible in advance of negotiations, negotiations. I think they found a relatively lightly defended area, and that's been along the battle line. They've reintroduced, at least for the time being, some form of maneuver. Maneuver has been shut down on both sides, essentially since spring of last year, with the pervasive use of small drones that has made any movement by any significant movement extremely costly and vulnerable. So I think at this point in time, Ukraine is essentially trying in advance of negotiations to occupy as much territory as possible, and we'll see how it turns out, and any repositioning of Russian troops to.
Folks, if you're just tuning in, pardon me, we're talking to Colonel John Mills, former Director of Cybersecurity, Policy, Strategy, and International Affairs in the Office of the Secretary of Defense. Colonel Mills has had an immense impact on a number of significant national security events over the last 40 years. He has served multiple combat tours. His service has been both in uniform and as a senior civilian for the Department of Defense, and included service with the National Security Council at the White House during 2 different administrations. This is why I so highly regard his opinion. I don't understand how the Ukrainians are not running out of men. I keep reading that it's the Russians who are conscripting 18 and younger men, but at some point, do the Ukrainians not run out of cannon fodder?
Well, yeah, I think that's a constant struggle on both sides, is to maintain a flow of personnel. And, this is the danger of any advance into somebody else's territories. Eventually, your lines of communication come along and you become vulnerable at your side. So this has been a constant struggle on both sides. And really, I look at it, and in ground combat situations, sometimes you move and you're told bad intel. There might be forces there might not. And you realize, what was supposed to be just a simple little raid, well, there's really nobody there. But, did the Russians pull back to reinforce Donbass already? We don't know. It's still a bit early to tell, but so far, they are occupying essentially 22 Manhattan equivalents. But it's tenuous. I think both sides have a significant challenge with creating enough mass at the right place at the right time to make decisive, game-changing moves. The grinding moves on the ground are very tactical, and they're not really so far really on either side. I mean, we're at a stalemate, and we have been a stalemate since early 23 on this whole thing on the ground. And, but the concern is expansion. The concern is if this is a real and successful ground incursion into Russia, and this is significant inside of Russia, what is Putin going to do now that his actual sovereign territory is being invaded? Is he going to try to envelop them and destroy them like the Germans in 1943? Is tactical nukes on the table? Is another area I've been watching, I've been very concerned. You have Chinese forces have actually been flown into Belarus, and essentially it's a small contingent, but you also have Chinese naval ships in the Baltics. Are they potentially, as a counter to this move, going to move across the Suwalki corridor from Belarus to create a land bridge to the Kaliningrad enclave, which would occupy Polish and Lithuanian territory? I mean, this again, I look at the Ukraine as only one of 14. You got to look at every single country is a colony, including, there was a great piece in the Hill about a month ago. Russia is a colony of China. Iran, North Korea, Venezuela, they're all colonies of China at this point in time. And so this is where we have a world on fire, and it really ultimately all roads lead to China, because this is part of the no limits agreement to collapse America, and they're getting great help from the Harris team because they obviously don't care. They're corrupt, and they are just dancing around saying joy. I'm seeing all I see at these gatherings. I was at the county fair, and the Democrat booth was filled with a bunch of angry-looking old white ladies that didn't get the joy memo and seemed to be waiting for Bella Abzug to leap from the grave and save them from their miserable lives.
All right, we're going to have to take a quick break. We're here with Colonel John Mills. When we get back, we're going to talk about his amazing book, War Against the Deep State. This book really helped red pill me, and I knew a lot. We'll be right back.
This is The Roger Stone Show.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
American Giant makes great clothing, sweatshirts, jeans, and more right here in the U.S. Visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com, code STAPLE20.
This is The Roger Stone Show.
Welcome back. I'm Roger Stone. We're here with Colonel John Mills, a defense and security expert who has served 2 administrations. I have to ask you, Colonel Mills, every day I learn more about Governor Tim Walz and the truth about his military service. I saw a video that he claimed in a 9/11 memorial service, which was held on the 20th anniversary of 9/11 in 2021, that he had deployed to Iraq, although the Minnesota governor was never actually deployed to the Middle East whatsoever. His commanding sergeant officer who served along with him in the National Guard has recently spoken out, claiming that the Minnesota governor left his battalion high and dry, as well as leaderless, when he suddenly backed out of his position prior to their deployment to the Middle East. That outspoken veteran went so far as to say that the person who replaced Walz in their battalion, a man named Tom Behrens, was the man. Walz never actually deployed to the Iraq War. Then in 2007, appearance in C-SPAN, Governor Walz claims he had been deployed during the Iraq War under Operation Enduring Freedom and in the early stages of the war in Afghanistan. The only time Walz was actually visited Afghanistan was during a congressional delegation in 2008, long after he had left the service and had been elected to Congress. This list goes on and on. The media keeps insisting that these things are not true. We've only got about 2 minutes, Colonel Mills, but as one who has served, how do you feel about this?
This is absolutely stolen valor. Walz has just lied through his teeth. It's reprehensible. I don't like to question anybody's service, except in situations like this where these are absolute lies. And, he says he landed at Bagram in Afghanistan and then served in Iraq. I guess he took an Uber across Iran. I mean, the guy just has been lying about everything. And I guess we have another person who's cognitively impaired trying to get into the White House after Biden. Unacceptable. And he's lying through his teeth on this whole topic.
All right, so unfortunately we are out of time. Colonel Mills, tell people where they can get your great book. Tell us the name again and where they can get your great book.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's War Against the Deep State, signed copies on Lindell My Store. Use Roger Stone's code. Also on Amazon, and the first book is The Nation Will Follow. And also I'm Colonel Rhett John 2, Colonel Rhett John 2 on X.
The Colonel has a very, very vibrant Substack. You want to check that out as well. Colonel John Mills, thank you for joining us on The Roger Stone Show.
Thank you, Roger.